Welcome to Dub Life Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. Welcome back to Dub Life Diaries. Today's guest is keeping a century of Volkswagen soul alive. From one of the first dealerships in Greenwich, Connecticut in 1922 to generations of Beetles, buses, and squarebacks to now fighting for the survival of her family's legacy. She's not just restoring cars, she's restoring history. And I love this. The caretaker of Volkswagens. Herself, Guinevere Freccia, welcome to Dub Life Diaries.
Hi, Joe. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate this.
Oh, you are so welcome. I'm excited for the community to listen to your story and hopefully support you all the way through lifetime. I can't wait to hear about your lifetime inside Volkswagens. I'm so excited for this episode. Before we get started, real quick, let me dive in and give some gratitude to my sponsors. You guys know Volksmania magazine supports the podcast. Check these guys out, volksmania.com. Use DubLife10. That's DUBLIFE, the number 10 at checkout. Those are U.S. subscribers only, but you'll get 10% off your subscription. I feel Volksmania is one of the flyest VW magazines on the face of the planet, so check those guys out. Also today, big shout out to my buddy Chris White, Riverbank Customs. This dude is all about the VW community. Check out their YouTube, Riverbank Customs. And if you're in the Southeast and you do shows in the Southeast, they're going to be at the Sasquatchy Valley VW Rally on September 20th. That's in Dunlap, Tennessee. Again, the Sasquatchy Valley VW Rally. Hopefully I said that right, okay?
That's harder than my first name.
Right. We're going to go with Guin from now on, though, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, so back to you. Talk to me a little bit before we get going. Where'd the nickname, the caretaker of Volkswagens, come from?
I mean, when people come in, it's like the car's a part of their family. A lot of people call us like, oh, I'm making a doctor's appointment for the car. So it's just, we're here to help them through life and get them back on the road and hear the stories of why you brought them in. And I'm not the mechanic. That's definitely my husband and my dad, but I do care for them and I do call their parents and I just make sure they're okay.
That's awesome. So going back to your earliest memories with VWs, take me back to all the way at the very beginning. Like, what was your very first VW moments that you remember?
One of the first ones I remember is my dad. We live very close to the shop, like 5 minutes away, and he would drive this little blue convertible Beetle home, and he'd always pull over right at the end of our street, and he'd let me sit on his lap and steer the car home. And I don't know, that was always just like the best part of the day. And like you left after a good day at the shop and you were going home with dad and the car was just chirping and it was good times. But I also remember before we went home, I did have to sweep the floor. And there's customers to this day that say, I remember you being like a little toddler, 5 years old, and you're pushing this broom and it's taller than you. But it still comes up to this day.
Oh, that's so cool. And for a business that's been around as long as this one has, I'm sure, right? Your dad probably even has memories like that from his childhood, yeah?
Oh, for sure. He's been here every single day since he was 10 years old. This is his life, his passion. Is what he loves to do.
So tell us about the Freccia Brothers Garage in the early days. Like, what did it mean to Greenwich, Connecticut to have a shop open as early as the 1920s?
Yeah, so we always say we were here first in Greenwich on Route 1. What did it mean to be open?
Well, like, to the legacy of the family. Like, I know Volkswagens weren't really here till the 1940s, right? So,
oh yeah, no. We did an article with the Drive, and it's titled like 98 years old, keeping Volkswagens alive. And people are like, Volkswagens aren't that old, and you're completely correct. So my family came here from Italy with nothing. I'm fifth generation. I remember the original Freccia brothers, and they started the garage with their sister Emily, who was, way beyond her time being a woman business owner. It was pride, it was family, it was, they came over here with nothing and they were making a life for generations to come. It was you did your work right, you did it once, and you built a business. But we did start painting horse-drawn carriages, painting signs, monogramming stuff because, like you said, Volkswagens weren't around. I mean, cars were barely around. I looked it up, and we seem to be one of the oldest continuously operating dealerships in America. But I've heard old stories of the elders. They'd all be sitting out front, and Route 1 was a dirt road, and a car would break down, and they'd run out to the dirt road, and they'd all push it back into the shop and start working on it.
Cool stories, cool things to even really like envision, as the early days.
Yeah, and cars were new.
So let's touch on Malcolm Prey was across the street. Highlight what Malcolm Prey was for the listeners.
So Malcolm Prey was from Greenwich. He did not graduate high school, was not good at schoolwork, but very smart man, very entrepreneurial, went into the service, and then he opened the dealership, and he opened a bunch of different ones, but Volkswagen was right across the street from us. We're like both on a corner. And at that time, Volkswagens were daily drivers. So my dad tells stories of we're right out in front of the crosswalk, and you would just see all different colorful Beetles at the intersection, and that's what would fill the street up. So people would need daily repairs, and that is definitely, I think, it is what planted the seed for me to later jump off of that and create a niche business.
You normally don't, like you were saying a second ago, you normally don't talk to anybody that has this type of history in one thing. you know, it's like it's really kind of cool to envision this myself and go all the way back to the 1940s, 1950s. It's so awesome. This was a
It's
Volkswagen dealership. They did Volkswagen and Porsche.
They did Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, yeah. We just stuck with the Volkswagens. They're the simplest cars to work on. That's what people were driving as daily drivers, and so we became known as doing the repairs. Eventually, 10, 15, 20 years later, people loved the cars so much, they wanted restorations, so we were doing restorations, and, they just kept coming to us over time.
Talk to me about the family dynamic growing up as a fifth generation.
Fifth generation.
So in a fifth generation VW family, do you have talk to me about growing up in multi generations of Volkswagens? Were they important to your dad and your brothers? And is it paint that picture for me.
Well, for growing up in the family business, like, I never questioned what I could do. My great-great-aunt was part of the original business, so I was like, "Oh, a woman can run the business. This isn't a big deal as long as you have the guys to help you do the heavy lifting or whatever." Like, I never questioned it. And then Volkswagens, yeah, we always had Volkswagens, and again, one of my earlier memories is Herbie the Love Bug in my house. He was like Santa Claus, like, he was a hero, like,
Oh, that's so cool.
he was real. I loved him, and I remember coming to the shop one day. I must have been less than 10, and there was 3 Herbies parked out front, and it blew my mind. I was like, "What do you mean there's more than 1?" Like, it's not true, but no, like, always watching Herbie at home, going to car shows. There's always a big car show on Father's Day. We wake up at the crack of dawn, drive up to that. We've all, at one point or another, my siblings have driven vintage Volkswagens. There was a bunch of us, so
Right.
my mom drove a Volkswagen bus, and we all just, like, packed in, and if we needed more room, my dad would tailgate in the square back, and that was before cell phones, so we had, like, walkie-talkies, and we'd drive all the way up to Massachusetts, but they're happy cars, and we liked working on them, we liked driving them, and I've recently keep seeing this quote that comes up on Instagram, and it's like, to be your true authentic self, like, that's the best way to brand yourself, and you gotta do what you love, and
Oh, yeah.
gotta love driving. If you love driving these Volkswagens, and we did, like, we were really able to pull it off.
Yeah, that's so awesome. It really is. And I agree with you too in that slogan because that's like the maybe even like like a cornerstone statement for today's society, right? Because that's really kind of what it is. It's a very mixed kind of thing these days. And yeah, it's like acceptance to everyone and everywhere. Yeah, cool, cool, cool. So sitting on dad's lap, steering the Blue Beetle, what did those moments as a young girl teach you about family, about cars, about even freedom?
I mean, family was everything ever since I was little. We all took care of each other. We've all lived in town. It just everyone, the original Freccia brothers, my grandfather, my father, they just had this calm sense to them, and I always wanted that. They had their gardening. They didn't have to drive hours to get to work. They got to spend time with their family.
Mm.
The biggest thing for me was, oh, I get to have a rescue dog, like, I can take care of a dog, like, and in Greenwich, that's not what people want. They want the Maserati, they want the Rolex, they want the sparkly stuff, but that 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 wasn't for me. I wanted just to be happy, to be calm, to spend time with my family, to help however I could, and it's definitely always been family around here. And like, so many times, like, I remember just breaking down in town and, dad comes to rescue you, granddad comes to rescue. Whoever is closest within, like, the 10 minutes comes and saves you because these little cars are always gonna have quirks and hiccups, but
Yes, yes, we know that well. I smile when you say that because I'm like, yeah, I just had to use AAA just a couple weeks ago, and
yeah.
something happened.
But
My
I
fuel
mean,
pump, something.
we're in the middle of all these dealerships, and you see every single kind of car get towed in every single day. So,
Oh yeah.
whatever car you have, there's always going to be a hiccup.
Now you're in a cabriolet right now doing this interview, aren't you?
I am. This is my daily driver.
In your life, have you ever rebelled against VW and gone a separate direction, or has kind of the culture always been a part of your blood, and that's even what you drive still on the daily?
When I was 15, I very much rebelled about it. That was before I figured out, like, I didn't want, I
Right.
didn't I didn't want to stand out in a bright orange, Carnegie. I couldn't, like, maybe if I was given a bug for my birthday, that would have been a little different. Like I said, Herbie, people know the bug, but I call it Tropicana orange. When I did my last podcast, they asked me, "Well, what's the real paint code?" I was like, "Oh my god, I've never even thought of it." It is signal orange, but a signal orange Carmangia in high school, I was like, "No way. Like, I am gonna walk. Like, I will not drive that car." I had to learn to drive stick. It was, like, extremely frustrating. I didn't wanna drive all my siblings around, so I kinda, like, didn't drive for a little while. Just I was scared to have, like, a lot of people in the car, but eventually I got my license at 18, and I did drive a blue cabriolet. So I'm back in the same car I started in. I had a few different cars in between, but this is my go-to car.
Why air cooled Volkswagens?
They're the easiest car to work on. And, like, why did I pivot towards that way?
In 2014 or so, I think you said you saw the need for your dad to have to specialize in something, right?
Yeah, I had come home from college in 2012. I went to the Art Institute of Boston for photography, and I was working at a creative agency learning about private label and branding,
Oh,
and
awesome.
yeah, I was like, "We're known for Volkswagens, it's the majority of the work we do, and we do excellent work, and people come from all over," and then I'm watching you guys, struggle with the Toyota or the Honda or whatever, and the new electrical systems, and you need multiple computers. I'm like, let's just use the big scary internet and go boutique. I said, "People are forgetting this skill. It's a lost art. Like, now you plug in the computer, it tells you how to fix the car.
Yeah, yeah.
You take apart a bajillion pieces just to do one little thing." But no, I saw a need for it. I saw, the internet is still evolving, it's ever evolving, but I was allowed to create just a static web page with a picture of our shop, our address, our phone number, and because 'cause we'd always been word of mouth by then, we had a rotary phone. But again, like, ingenuity, changing with the times, you just have to be able to adjust and keep going forward, but we do keep the nostalgia around. My dad's one request was he still likes to do bills with the carbon copy, so you'll get a
Oh,
little slip when you leave here, but
yeah.
that's part of the magic. You can't.
No, it is. Yeah. It's the paper, you
Mhm,
so people still like to leave with that and put it in their glove box or take it home and store it,
mhm,
right? The whole
and
paperless stuff, it's cool, it's a vibe, but yeah, so is, the old trusty carbon copy, white goes to you or yellow goes to you, white goes to customer.
mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And people keep them. We've seen cars, shuffled around Connecticut, passed on through family members, and they have those receipts for decades. They stay with it, and like I
They
said,
do.
the car is coming for its checkup, and they want them taken care of, and it's like a little medical history.
It is though, really. And, these days you buy them, 50 years old, and some of them say comes with paperwork.
Mhm.
And
That's a
then
huge thing.
you think that it might be a title and something else. No, no, no. It's the receipts for the last 50 years.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. People do keep them. People do keep them.
And, some of them come with their trophies and their show books, and if they were in weddings, there's wedding albums, but, I mean, when eBay first started, we saw eBay scams like you wouldn't believe. There'd be a picture of a red car on eBay, a green car would show up, and people are still buying cars sight unseen, and it's crazy. It keeps us busy. Repairs are mostly what we do. We do restorations, but repairs keep us busy, and during COVID, we definitely saw an uptick again of people buying cars online.
Yeah, yeah. Well, COVID had a boom, in automotive of every range every year. There was this huge boom. It's starting
Mhm.
to cool off a little bit right now. I think, classic VWs are actually down the market, right? It's a buyer's market, which
Yeah.
good stuff. But I wanna talk about the community that you guys grew, around 2014, may have changed the vision and started to, do some stuff online. What type of community grew at that point in your area around the garage?
Definitely, we were able to get in touch with more Volkswagen people. People were excited to use Facebook. Facebook is still a big reach for us. And then
That's where I found
we're
you.
yeah. We're, a big white building on Route 1, and people know us. They always say, "Oh, you have the colorful little Beetles." And I said, "Why don't we start, using our exposure for good as well." A couple of years ago, after my grandfather passed away, we did a toy drive for a little kid because my grandfather passed away from cancer. This little boy had cancer, and I never met him. I don't know him. It was like a friend of a friend in town, and I said, "I wanna mail him and his brother one of those Power Wheels Volkswagens." And they said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "Because I have the exposure and I wanna help, and I'm sure his little brother, kind of feels left out sometimes, and I just wanna pay it forward." And after that, we did Christmas fundraisers, or toy collections every year. We partnered with Greenwich Police, Kids in Crisis, Food Bank of Lower Fairfield County.
Oh, man,
On
you
our
guys are awesome.
Yeah, our 100th year, which was 2022, we set a goal to collect over 1,000 toys, and we did. I did find out, I think the
Master.
year or so before that, that a lot of these kids are in foster care. They only get 1 toy. They're shuffled around a lot. So we do ask for, like, a teddy bear or a toy truck because I think it's something that can go from home to home and they can play with. It's timeless, it's classic. It's not like, you're giving them a puzzle, they're losing the pieces. So teddy bears and trucks work really well. And people saw that. And then, they asked, can we help with Easter baskets? So we've helped with Easter baskets. We've done breast cancer fundraisers where we've turned our logo pink and done
That's a community.
sweatshirts. Yeah, it's just we do a lot of promotions for Lucky Dog Refuge in Stanford. Just I feel like if you can help someone, like what you're doing today, if you have the means to help someone, take that little bit of time out of your day and you're gonna change a life.
Yeah, that's good energy. I appreciate that. And I live that. I act that. So I'm so vibing with what you just said. If you can do something, man, do something.
Yeah. I
Don't
mean,
just sit back. Don't just
yeah,
sit there.
we've driven up to Newburgh, Connecticut, and there's a private school because I mean, that's one of the worst neighborhoods in the United States. These kids are in school 6 days a week, 11 months out of the year, I believe, to help, mold them and grow them. And we go up and we do, I think it's called Cars Throughout the Decade. But some of these kids, they've never sat in a car. They've only been on a city bus or a school bus. And
Crazy.
just to give them inspiration to say maybe one day I wanna be a mechanic or, one day I wanna photograph cars or detail cars or something, like, you just have to plant that seed, set that spark.
So great. So great. So touching on the shop, not to switch gears, because I could talk about kids for forever. I've got 5 kids, bunch of
Oh my god.
reptiles. I collect animals and pets and
Mhm.
Volkswagens, and my wife collects kids.
Yeah, that tracks, that seems to be how it is.
Yeah, yeah. But back to the shop though, I wanted to ask you this question. What's one of the rarest, VWs that you've ever had in the shop? Because gosh, you've had a long time, many, many years, many, many generations of exposure. I want to hear about one of the weirdest or rarest cars you've ever had.
Okay, so we're waiting to bring it in right now, but my friend owns 2 of them. They're called a SP2 from Brazil.
Yeah, I know the SP2 is the coupe little race car looking thing, right?
They look like something like the Jetsons would drive,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really cool. She has a yellow one and an orange one. I believe at the time she had 11 or 2 out of 11 in the US. I know they were kinda trying to, like, clarify the number, but there's not a lot of them here.
Yeah, I know they're rare for sure.
Mm, yeah, and it was really cool to see 2 of them in the same place, but she had one of them. I knew a guy that was selling cars in the city, and he's like, "Oh, I just happened to get this SP2 if I was gonna go to this Volkswagen event or that Volkswagen event this weekend, which one would you recommend?" So I told him, "Go to the one at the Malcolm Prey Achievement Center," and before I got there, he's like, "I sold the car." So, definitely a cool experience.
Yeah, those are cool cars too.
Yeah.
Never seen one in person myself.
You'll have to. I know you will. We'll manifest it for you. It'll
Yeah,
come your way.
I like that. I like that. So touching on the shop again, how did you blend old school garage culture with storytelling and then an online presence? Like, what was the strategy?
I think it really just happened naturally, being a photographer, going to art school. Instagram was very new then, and then just the stories Volkswagens had themselves. Everyone's
Right.
always told me, like, "Make a coffee table book, photograph your customers," which that's a wish list. I actually got photographed to be in a coffee table book by a woman. She came all the way out from I believe she's in Oregon, but traveled cross country, makes the list of people, and she's like, "You were one of the first people on my list I wanted in this book." And, like, every time people say that, I'm just so shocked at how far away the shop is known. I think between my creative background and just the stories, like even your YouTube, Volkswagen people are storied people.
Big time. Big time.
It was just blending everything together.
Yeah, and even for, like, the success of this podcast, the only reason is because of the Volkswagen community, you
Mhm.
and the ability of the, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type thing, even all the way down to the Volksmania magazine connection for me. I reached out to them to do advertising to ask them, "Hey, I've got a VW podcast. I want to see how much it costs to be, maybe on a quarter page or something, and hopefully I'll get some exposure. And Paul Cave was like, nah, how about this? I'll sponsor you and we'll give you a feature and you can write up, a couple episodes every issue. I'm like, "Oh, but I'm not a writer." He's like, yeah, you are. You're fine.
Yeah.
You'll do
You
it. And
always you always have to ask. You never know if it's a no or a yes until you put yourself out there, and that's with anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, the community, it's so awesome. So speaking of the community itself, what does Volkswagen mean beyond the car to you?
It's happiness. I mean, we thought COVID was gonna destroy us, and we have never been busier. We had so many cars in, and we tried to change up the display out front of the shop. So one day we had them in, like, a rainbow order. One day we had, like, all the greens and blues out. One day we had, like, all the orange buses, and it's just a signifier of happy and joy and freedom, and, like, if in most Volkswagens, you can always fit a bunch of people in the car. So it's about friendship, adventures. Like it's just you're just having a good time.
Yeah, and a lot of folks say that their car looks happy when they look back at it, and you look at them sometimes and it does. They look like they're smiling, or you got the dented bumper on some of these older buses. It might be a little
Mhm.
off or something. It looks kind of like a crooked smile. You
Yeah,
know?
we actually have one Volkswagen bus, and the girl painted a big it's a blue bus, and she painted a big toothy grin on the front and, like, made this big, like, plush tongue, and it's a really cute smiling bus. But we actually have stickers that say, "Freccia Brothers made you smile." So
Oh,
I'll have to mail some of those to you.
yeah, hook me up. I'll swag it out for sure. So I'm gonna switch gears now, and we're gonna go to the other side of this conversation. But again, one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out to you was to hopefully try to help you out. So take us back to the moment now. We're a thriving business, in business 103 years, a ton of loyal customers. I feel like there might even be nationwide, maybe even world reach for your brand. And then suddenly an eviction happens. Talk
Yeah.
talk to us. Tell the listeners tell us the story in case they didn't see it on Facebook, or in case, they're just hearing about it now for the first time. What happened?
So, 103 years old, and Freccia Brothers is in trouble. Our story is now out. We are being evicted, and I'm ready to tell the truth. We've been in court since 2021, fighting to keep the business at the shop's location, 246 West Putnam Avenue, as it's always been here since 1922. My grandfather passed away in 2018, and 3 out of 4 of the beneficiaries, who are all family, are asking that the Freccia Brothers continues to go on in its location. But like we just said, we were served an eviction 3 weeks ago. We had a little bit more time here. We're packing our most valuable equipment, our most valuable tools. We will carry on the business elsewhere, but we do need help. Our asking goal is $250,000 to secure a new space, a new shop, garage, bay. But my biggest wish is that the internet does its magic, does its thing, and this story goes viral, and I'm able to secure back the original location.
Oh, how awesome would that be?
That would be amazing. I mean, for everyone who always says they have a Volkswagen story, if this just went viral, they threw down a couple bucks, like, I think we could do it.
I think you can too, and I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to connect. I would love to be able to do something. So I read your story, and it touched me instantly. And I see you sitting at the back of an old Beetle in the picture, and I'm like, hold on, like I got to do something about this. I have this platform. So I reached right out to you, and you
Mhm.
responded right away. That was so awesome. I feel those types of things are actually meant to be as well, because well, you're not the first person that I've ever connected with online. I try, if I see a cool car or I see a cool story about somebody's, classic VW somewhere, I'll comment, say, "Hey, my name is Joe, and I'm the host of a podcast," and I try to just put my website, and hopefully they'll go look because there is validity behind it. I do care, about
Yeah.
people, but they don't always get back to me. So probably treat it like spam, and that's okay. You didn't, so I
No.
appreciate that. But I really hope that this can help surge and the community can stand up, for you guys in your family business. It's like, wow, you again, I've never interviewed somebody that's had a family business, 5 generations that's been in business for over a century.
Yeah. I
It's
mean, and I
huge.
promised my dad I would do whatever I could to try and save the shop, and I knew I had to go public and tell the truth and speak the facts and,
So
try and save the shop.
yeah,
I didn't
without
I
getting in
didn't
trouble, you know, can you elaborate a little bit? You're saying tell the truth. Like, what do you mean? What happened there?
I didn't want people to think the business was failing or that we missed rent. None of that is true. We're purely just being forced out. I
Okay.
can say I don't know. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny what's gonna be done with the property. I can say that this does not need to be done financially. This is not what my grandfather wanted. He wanted the business, the legacy to go on in this location. Like I said, 3 out of 4 of the beneficiaries agree, and that's why we're trying to get the news out, save the shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Good.
didn't and I couldn't do it to my customers. We've been there for the happiest times in their lives, the saddest times, and I wasn't just disappearing. Like, people are coming by today saying, we'll see you later. Let us know where the next location is." So, the
Oh,
community is rallying behind us, and even, people like you are reaching out.
you got support from previous customers. There's obviously support from the VW community, which is a segue through me. Hopefully, a lot more will stand up. I was on the what is it, GoFundMe page when I first saw you a few days back, and I clicked on that link, and it looks like you guys have raised some money already.
Yeah, we've raised some funds, it's definitely helping, but, I mean,
We got to raise more.
we gotta raise more, we gotta raise more, and you
We got to
said,
raise more.
past customers, current customers. I have people emailing me that aren't even customers yet, and they're ready to come in, and these are the messages that are, keeping me going right now.
Yeah, right. Sure. They give you, inspiration, they give you hope. But I want to ask you, over this battle, because it kind of feels like that's what it's been for you for years, even through, potential slander and everything else that's come up. What lessons have you taken away about family, about business, maybe even about resilience from this experience?
Family, your chosen family's gonna show up for you. Like, family doesn't always mean blood. It means the people who are out here loading dumpsters with you in the heat, the people that are dropping off pizzas for you, the people that are out here getting dirty with you, crying with you. I mean, these were vulnerable moments, and the family showed up, and a lot of it has been clients, customers. My 2 aunts have driven down here from Massachusetts to try and save us. Every guy my husband has grown up with in town, like, they have other small businesses, and, we would come to their aid if they needed that, and
That's right.
it
Well, I think there's, light at the end of the tunnel because the Volkswagen community, this is what we do. We stick together, and so I hope there's, a positive outcome there. But I still want to even touch on, like, if the physical garage is gone, and you go somewhere else and open up shop, like, you're obviously going to keep the legacy and the story alive, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah, I mean, people know this building because of its charm, and, it's 103 years old, so it does have that old world charm, that old world look. I'm a little scared of a new storefront, but I think it might just have to be, like, we take it a step further, we work on the reels, we work on the storytelling, maybe a YouTube channel, like, this isn't gonna be the first crisis Freccia Brothers has gone through. We've been here since
Yeah.
1922. We had
Yeah,
the Great Depression,
that's right. Um,
everything. Like, we'll stick together and we'll make it through, and we always do.
and How can the VW community help you most? The GoFundMe page?
The GoFundMe page for sure. We definitely need funds. I know times are tough, but if you could share and, even $5 is helping. So, share,
And
share.
I'll put a link to the GoFundMe in the show notes so anybody that hears this will be able to access that for sure. I think we can shift gears and stop talking about that right now. Let's go back to maybe some of the positive angles of the culture and some of your memories as you came up. And then I've got some rapid fire questions that we'll get into here in the next few
Yeah.
minutes. Some quick, fast response. What makes the VW culture different, in your opinion, from other car scenes?
I think because anyone can drive it. Someone learning to drive, someone that has bought the car since new and is still driving it, maybe someone that doesn't have a lot of money because they fix it up themselves, maybe a millionaire because it was just a favorite car and they had to have it, but it definitely brings people together.
If you had to explain why Volkswagens matter to somebody who might not understand this culture, what would you say?
I say let's go for a ride together.
It's a good answer.
Let's go for a ride, and you're gonna hear stories, and you're
Yeah.
gonna hear the chirp of that engine,
Gonna
and
have that feeling. You're gonna smell the
yeah,
seats.
you're gonna smell the seats, you're gonna digitally detox, we're just gonna cruise backcountry, and that's what I would tell them.
I mean, I'm sold on that. They matter for that reason. All right, let's get into some rapid fire. You ready?
Yep,
First VW you ever drove solo.
Carmen Gia.
What year? You remember?
73 maybe?
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
always bad with years.
That's okay. Yeah. Sounds good. I think the last was 74. Last year, 74. Anyway, favorite VW model of all time.
I like the Beetle.
You like the Beetle?
Yeah. I'm
Classic as it
like
gets.
yeah.
Worst breakdown story.
Oh, this is bad. My it was actually my water-cooled cabriolet, and my brakes gave out in Rhode Island, and my brother had to come up from Greenwich and pick me up and drive me home, and we had to flatbed the car home. And I always just remember my dad being like, "Well, why didn't you take your friend's newer car?" And I was like, "Well, we wanted to be in the convertible, like, come on." Like,
Hello, I'm a
wow.
Volkswagen gal.
That's still talked about at family dinner, so
You guys restore too, right?
we do restore, but primarily we're just so busy with repairs. We
Okay.
just we stick to that, but we do restore.
Do you have a dream restoration project?
I'd like to do some sort of electric restoration when the
Ooh,
technology gets there.
yeah.
I mean, the harnessing is there, it's the batteries. The batteries are just very expensive.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that there I've even had some guys on the podcast that do this out in Seattle. Peace Vans.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I've seen
yeah,
their page.
yeah, they do these electric conversions, and they do them very well, and, he explained a little bit on there talking about them. But I think that's a cool angle. I talked to a few other guests that I've been on in the past too, and I've said, and my stance is, there's always 2 sides, right? There's keep them, gas and air cooled and, et cetera, or, no, let's convert them. And a lot of the newer
Mhm,
conversions, electric conversions they're driven by the younger generation. And what I say a lot is, I don't care how they get into these cars. I'm just glad they're getting into them.
mhm.
If it's going to be an electric car and it's still a 50-year-old core, like I'm I'm okay.
Yeah.
Whatever gets you cruising and gets you, falling in love with these cars. So
We
interesting,
we
interesting to
we
hear that.
definitely get a lot of questions about the electrical conversion for people that don't know how to drive stick. So if they wanna,
Oh,
branch off and make their own little Volkswagen branch, like, I'm happy, but I hope we can get there with the technology one day.
yeah, cool. I think it's on its way. It's coming. It's
It's
coming.
coming.
All right. If a Beetle, not your Beetle, if a Beetle could talk, what's one of the first things it would say?
Drive me.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. How about this one? Biggest mis
No, and or no salt, no salt. Don't
No
drive
salt.
them this.
No salt, so we don't rust, right?
Mhm.
What's one of the biggest misconceptions about Volkswagens?
That they're hard to work on.
A lot of previous past guests have said something along the same lines, and they say, "Just get out there and start. Just start working
Mhm.
on it. You'll see it's not that difficult." You know, I got a bad back, and a guy like me, I'm not really down on the ground and, really that mechanical. I'm happy to pay somebody else. However, I'm smart enough with these cars to be pretty dangerous. So and I kind of agree. They are pretty easy. Doesn't mean I have the time or even, at times the want to do it myself just because
Yeah.
yeah. But
No, we'll have cars come with their receipt books, and they'll say, "We were at, 3, 4 regular mechanics. It's still running like crap, like, we can't fix it." The guys go out there, they take a look, see it back on the road.
what a great feeling too. And I love this feeling here. When you pick it up and you drive it again and they come back and they tell you it's never driven this good.
We get thank you notes, we get
Yeah.
cookies, like, people really appreciate it, and also, like I said before, people are still buying cars off eBay. We won't even talk to them, and they'll show up here with, like, their little love letter on the seat, "Please take care of her. This is her name. Fix this." So a lot of them are coming in with letters. We fix them up, and then we get the handwritten thank you letter, which is always nice.
Wow, that's so cool, man. So
I mean,
cool.
we're on some people's Christmas card list, which is pretty cool. Like, you don't think you're gonna change someone's world enough, and then you end up on their Christmas card list, and it's cool.
That's something else that you guys are known for across town, right? Don't you guys have Christmas cards?
Yeah, so my dad always did themed Christmas cards, and a bunch of them had the Volkswagen bus. He had a
Yeah.
vintage wrecker pickup truck, but he definitely was ahead of his time. Like, everyone does, like, all the themed Instagram posts now. He was staging Christmas cards before it was the thing to do.
Yeah, so cool. I love that type of success for, a company slash a brand like this, to just naturally like episode 2, I believe, I had Scarlett Nolan on, who is like the president of Truly Nolan. And her father, started Truly Nolan, of pest control. They're all over the world now. And they were known for their yellow Volkswagen Beetle, all the way up into
Wow.
the new Beetle. But it was like the right he was obviously ahead of his time as well, but like nobody really knew that yellow car with the mouse ears was gonna become this
Mhm.
this world icon, and it did, and it created, a couple $100 million enterprise, as Truly Nolan, hell, probably even more, but still just so cool off of, just being I'm not gonna say that's the only way it was successful was being in the right place at the right time,
Mhm.
but it does, being ahead of your time and taking that risk, that's really what it always, equates to, and I love to see when people are successful because of that, for taking a risk.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah, so good stuff. All right, one word to describe the Freccia brothers' legacy.
Love. I watched 4 generations before me take care of each other, teach each other, mentor each other, and that's why I believe this place will go on. That's why I'm out here doing this for my family, for my father.
Yeah, and thank you for that, for putting yourself out there and responding to me and coming on here and being willing to rattle your comfort zone. I appreciate it for sure. Hopefully the community does as well. Outside of all the stuff that you're doing, what's next for you outside of trying to wrangle in, this shop? Like what are the plans? What's next for you?
Well, we're gonna get the shop to a safe place, and then I'm just gonna, continue on with my automotive career. Like I said, I started sweeping the floors. After my grandfather passed away, I started showing, and then I was actually asked most recently to become a apprentice judge. So, anyway, I can keep the culture alive and have fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Even
so
being on this podcast, YouTube channel. That's a big step.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I'm absolutely happy to have you. So tell the listeners where can they find you? Where can they follow your story? Shout out from the rooftops right now. How can people find you? Give them all the way down to, the spelling.
You can find me on Instagram at Freccia Brothers, FrecciaBrothers. That's on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook at, again, Freccia Brothers, same spelling. And then you can follow my personal Instagram, which is Sweet Guinevere. That's a title of a song. SWEETGUINEVERE. And I'm always open to talk with people, chat with people, happy to connect.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Dub Life Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at Dub Life Diaries, or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. dublifediaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning, and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.